Are you someone who earns a decent amount at your job but still feels unfulfilled at times? Keep listening as we discuss mental wealth and how accumulating it can lead to a more satisfying life. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast with your money best friends. I'm Dr. Alicia Taylor.
And I'm Dr. Brittany Halford.
And of course, we're here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so you can create the life you desire with more control over your time.
Alicia, can we talk about one of the most important money moves we've made as doctors? And I don't know about you, but for me, when I think about this, it's actually insurance. Yes, I know it's not sexy, but it is absolutely essential, especially disability insurance.
Facts. I got mine right after med school, before residency even started. And let me tell you, Prati Botto at PKA Insurance Group made the whole process so smooth. He actually cared, broke down everything, explained the fine print, and got me the best policy for the best price.
And what I love is that he treats everyone like that, residents, attendings, even docs on visas. He literally got you. He's super responsive, super knowledgeable. And if there's a better deal out there, he will tell you.
Oh, and if you're healthy, you could get approved for up to $10 million in life insurance. So not just disability insurance in only 5 minutes. No labs, no hassle.
So if you're serious about protecting your income and your family, call 1-800-258-1018.
Or email pradeep@pkainsurance.com. All right, Brittany, I don't know about you, but this past weekend, I had the most relaxing weekend I've had in a long time. Probably because I keep traveling all of the time. And so that's very rare that I am at home. So my brother, I have two brothers, but one of my brothers has many jobs, and one of which is being a physical trainer. So my brother loves being in the gym and training other folks. He's also a real estate agent. And so he gets a lot of clients from people that he meets at the gym. But I'm saying this to say that I decided last Friday that I was going to finish working and then go to his gym and work out with him. We used to work out together all the time as kids. He's one of the reasons why I ended up being an athlete, why I'm so into sports. But anyway, he's a physical trainer and I'm a little frugal, if we shall say. And so I'm like, I'm paying a physical trainer when I'm related to one. So I'm going to pull up to your gym and we're going to have this session. And so I did. And we had a really fun gym session. You know, he's working muscles I forgot existed. We had a fun time. And he always pushes me past the limit that I think I can go, which I think is a good sign for a good trainer, right? You're like, oh, my arms are tight. He's like, come on, two more. And so I'm pushing. I'm saying this to say that I pushed so much that I think I must have tore 20 muscles in my body, because Saturday I was sore from head to toe. Like I could not move. I was so sore. And I called my brother and he was like, oh, that means the workout was good. And I'm like, that means the workout was too hard. Anyway, because I was feeling so sore, I decided, all right, I'm going to relax this weekend. So Saturday, I didn't even leave my house. I was chilling in bed, binge watching TV shows. And it has been such a long time since I have binge TV shows. You know, when you finish one episode and it just keeps rolling.
Oh my gosh.
I would only pause to eat, use the bathroom, and I was back in it. Okay. And I was just like, wow, this is the laziest day I've had in a long time. But I was allowed myself to enjoy it because I was like, my body needs recovery. And then on Sunday, one of my hallmarks on my Sundays is I try not to do work unless it's very, very pressing. One of my life goals is I don't work on Sundays, and I use it for going to church and spending time with family. And so watched the church service online and then drove to my parents' house, which was a little over an hour away. And my brothers were there too. My nieces and nephews were there. And we had this pool day. My dad in his neighborhood has this really fancy pool. It looks like a water park. I don't know how much his HOA is, but I was like, okay, you're getting your money's worth. And so we went over there and we were in the pool with my niece and my nephews and just kicking it. My brother had bought some water and juice boxes for the kids, the healthy versions. And we had fruit and popcorn chicken. And we just had the day at the pool with my family. Man, what an amazing weekend, from this workout that prompted me to just watch Netflix all day on Saturday to watch church, revived my spirit, and then went and spent some time with my family at the pool. So it was a great weekend. Wow, I have no complaints. And so, yeah, I just wanted to tell you about my relaxing weekend.
Well, I appreciate that you spent time serving your spirit and giving it what it needs guilt-free, because I don't do that too often. Whenever I binge Netflix or anything, I always feel a little guilty, okay, I am wasting time. So then I find the mail and I go through the mail that I haven't opened, or I organize something as I am watching. So I am very happy and also a little envious that you got to do that unencumbered. You're just like, this is the objective for the day. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna binge and I'm gonna feed myself when I need to and use pause to use the bathroom. But that's all that I'm doing. That is the agenda for the day. I love that for you. When I think about your body hurting just everywhere, I agree with your brother. I don't think that the workout was too hard. It's like no pain, no gain. So this means that I'm on the up and up. I'm growing, I'm progressing here. I don't know which philosophy, which thought process is correct that if you hurt, then it's good. And if you hurt, you've overdone the workout. But I think either way, it means that you had a good workout. And I'm really happy for the changes that will come from that. I'm also reflecting on the healthy juice that your brother bought for your nieces and nephews. And one day, my mother, sitting in the car with my children, tried some of that healthy juice. The Honest drinks, was it called the Honest juice
Yeah,
box?
yeah,
Yes.
I think so, I think so.
We call it water juice. That's essentially what it tastes like. And my mother, I guess she had never tried them. She opens it up thinking that she's going to have a refreshing juice box. She's like, "Oh, this is disgusting right there in the presence of my children." And I'm like, "Oh, her, don't say that. My kids think that this is a luxury. They get a juice box, it's a little bit of a water juice and they are happy. They are fulfilled. It really tastes like water juice. It's like a little drop, teaspoon of juice, and the rest of it is water. But I'm really happy that you had those experiences and you got to spend some time with family. You got to do some self care and give your body some time to recover.
Yeah, it was great. I haven't tried the Honest juices, but similar to your kids, my niece and nephew, they're, "Ooh, juice time." And I'm like, "Okay, that must mean that my brothers are serving them water all the time because they are very excited to get any sort of flavor." And I also talked to my sister-in-laws and I was telling them about the relaxing, sort of like lazy-ish day that I had had on Saturday. And you know what they said? Must be nice, life before kids. And it was so funny because my brother's like, "I don't remember the last time in my life before kids that I slept in past 7:30 a.m. My kids are coming to my room and like, Daddy, it's time to wake up, or Mommy, it's time to wake up. I'm hungry," or whatever. It's like, even on holidays, even on weekends, they don't have the concept of you can sleep in today. And I remember thinking like, oh, wow, I guess that does suck. But, I let Jesus wake me up and it was 7 a.m. was not the time he chose. I could like wake up when I wanted to. And I'm like, wow, I do desire to have kids one day, but I'm really enjoying this time period without kids. I'm like, oh yeah, this is better for this stage in my life, like being able to wake up as late as I want, being able to decide what do I want to do for the day, not feeling like I needed to do something else.
Yep. I think it's a matter of perspective. Our pastor once said, instead of saying, I have to do this, say, I get to do this. So, like right now, you're
Ooh.
saying, like, I get to sleep in and let the Lord wake me up. And I get to allow my children to wake me up. Some people have prayed to have children, have prayed for children, and they are unable to have children for whatever reason. So I always, even in the midst of fatigue or time crunch, time pressure, whatever it is, annoyance, because I'm cleaning up yet another mess. It's like, oh, I get to clean up this mess because my kid that I have prayed for made this mess. So it's all a matter of perspective. So yes, enjoy your time, where you don't have to have a person to climb in bed and wake you up. I am also just being reminded that I should also enjoy this time because they're not going to be here for forever. And there are many people who desire this life that don't get the opportunity to have it.
As physicians, one of the most important things that we can do is make sure that we secure our income because a lot of our financial plans are contingent on our high doctor income. One of the things that you will need to do is make sure that you get long-term disability insurance.
Now, Pradeep and his team at PKA Insurance Group have a reputation for putting people over profits and always doing what's best. Do not hesitate to email PKA Insurance and his team today.
They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.
All right. Well, that takes us to our next segment where you're going to tell us all about mental wealth. So I'm curious to learn how we can improve our mental health to foster more value in our lives.
So far, we've talked about time wealth, right? Being in control of your time, understanding that time is finite, and being able to focus your attention on the things that really matter most. And we talked about social wealth, right? Building the breadth of friendships, having the depth of relationships, and also that earned status. A lot of us know about financial wealth, right? We're trying to increase the amount of money that we have, increase our net worth. But one of the things that I think is really important as well is mental wealth. I'm gonna tell you a little story. I remember having a conversation with one of my girlfriends. This was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. It was definitely before she had her first child, and I think she was engaged at this time, so she wasn't married. She was engaged to be married to her now husband, who has this really well-paying job, and it's not in medicine. He was, like, progressing at the company and making, like, a ton of money, like, more money than he ever thought that he would make in his life. They lived in this multi-million dollar home and all of this stuff, and they were sort of thinking about, when are we gonna have kids and that sort of thing, and I remember having this conversation with her because she is in healthcare. She said, Alicia, I can't lie to you, like, I shouldn't complain, but I feel like something is missing. And it wasn't that something was missing in her relationship. She really loved her now husband and still does. But she was like, I can't really talk about it with a lot of people because so many people would love to be in my position, right? To have this
Mhm.
loving partner that is faithful and loyal and wants to marry her, who makes a ton of money to the point where she doesn't really have to work. And she knew that. And she was like, but I kind of feel unfulfilled. I know that I don't have to work, but I really want to work because I want to feel useful and important. And I know that I have skills that the world could benefit from. And although I have this job in healthcare, it's pretty easy. I'm at the point where I can kind of do it in my sleep. So I'm not being challenged mentally. I mean, the job is so easy and it pays so well. And I have this time flexibility. And it was just like, I could tell that it was toying with her because she knew how rare that was. Like, so many people would like to be in a high paying job that is very easy for them to do and be in a relationship with a partner that makes a lot of money to the point where, like, you not working is like not a problem, right? You can choose what you want to do. But it was interesting for me to see somebody in such a privileged position still say, I kind of feel unfulfilled. There's this part of
Mm.
me that I need to fill, and it's not money because I have money, and it's not time flexibility because I kind of have time flexibility, and it's not health because I'm pretty young and I'm in good health. Although I want children, this is not like I need to take care of another person kind of fulfillment. I mean, yes, I want children, but it was almost like a work thing. She was toying with the idea of switching jobs, and she was like, do you think I'm crazy? Am I crazy to leave this job? Like, I know once I have a child, I'll want a job like this, but I just feel unfulfilled. And it sort of brought me to this aspect of mental wealth that has three pillars, one of which purpose. It's about clarifying and defining your unique vision that creates meaning for your life. And, one of the quotes that I found really important, your purpose is your sword in the fight for distinctiveness, right?
Mm.
It's what makes you different from other people. It's part of the value that you bring to the world around you, and how you can have all of the money in the world and all of the time in the world and all the friends in the world. But if you don't feel like you have a purpose, if you don't feel like you add value to the world and to other people, you can still have an unsatisfying life. And how this
Mhm.
aspect of mental wealth, in which one of the pillars is purpose, is so important.
I'm so glad that you shared that story with us because as we go throughout our careers, I think that there are many points in which we ask ourselves, okay, is this what I really want? I've gotten to this milestone. Like, there are times when I've dreamed of becoming a doctor. I've wanted to be a doctor since I was 7 years old, like documented in a book that my dad still has. And now I'm a physician. Why am I unfulfilled? This was the dream. This was the goal. What is going on here? And we feel guilty because of the privilege. We feel guilty that we are not really basking in the joy of a dream fulfilled. Think what your story highlights is like this sentiment is completely normal. This is okay for us to experience this. And while we might have this doubt, this questioning, it is 100% okay for us to pivot, for us to really dive deep to discover, okay, what is it that I need from this job? How can I make it more fulfilling, like make it more purposeful? Or how do I leave it all together and say, okay, I've achieved that goal, but now it's time to pursue something else. Now God has given me a different purpose. And honestly, I felt similar to your friend when I became a financial coach. It's like, okay, what am I doing? I'm questioning, what am I doing? I dreamed of being a doctor. Now, why am I trying to pursue something else? And I think what is important for us to understand that we can have multiple purposes. We just don't have this one box in which we're supposed to fit in and operate under. Like, you can still have other purposes in this world. And it also brings this idea of this ikigai, which is this Japanese concept of doing what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. And so a lot of times we go into medicine thinking that this is our ikigai, but that decision is also maybe not as informed as it could be. And once we get in it, we're like, is this really what I love? Yes, I'm good at it because it's become easy. I can be paid for it. Yes, the world needs other and good doctors, but is this what I love? And how can we reignite the passion that we had for medicine before we actually got deep into the field.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things that I think is important is that your purpose is not necessarily synonymous with your career. Oftentimes, we use those words interchangeably. Your career is what you're doing to make money, and it would be really great if the thing that you're doing to make money is also part of your calling and something that fulfills you, but everybody doesn't have that privilege. Your purpose is really, what do you put on this earth to do? It's more broad. I had a mentor one time that said, Alicia, there's a difference between your purpose, your calling, your skills, and your gifts. And a lot of times we just conflate all of these words, and how, was described to me or defined to me was your purpose is kind of what you were meant to do. It's more broad. I was meant to educate others. I was meant to simplify complex topics. I was meant to bring other people together. It's more broad. Your calling is how and where you're supposed to do that thing. I'm going to fulfill my purpose at this job. I'm going to fulfill my purpose in this way. I'm going to fulfill my purpose at this club. Your skills and your talents are the things that you get good at doing over time with practice or by studying. But your gifts are things that you're naturally good at, even if you didn't study and you didn't practice for them. And so it's like, okay, now that I know sort of these differences, how does that change the way that I live my life? I could give you an example and say, like, my purpose is living a life of wellness and inspiring other people to do the same. My calling, how I'm supposed to do that, is by practicing medicine, or that's one of the ways that I do that. But another way that I do that is by having this podcast, right? A skill that I have is diagnosing people with injuries or illnesses and treating them because I've gone to medical school and residency. But a gift that I have that's more natural is connecting with other people through conversation. Just really defining what those things are and realizing, all right, it would be great if I could fulfill my purpose through my career. But in my friend's case, she didn't need to work a job. She could work a job, but she didn't need to work a job, right? And so it could be her volunteering at this charity or for this organization, but just figuring, what do I feel like I was put here on this earth to do? What would fulfill me? What would I do if I weren't paid for it, right? And
Mhm.
if you're in a privileged position where you don't need to make money, maybe you don't have to get paid for it. If you're in a position where you need to make money, you're thinking, how can I monetize this thing? But those are requirements. And so it's like, okay, what do I think would fulfill me? What do I want to do? If I had all the money in the world, how would I still spend my time? How would I want to add value to the world? To be honest, this is one of the reasons why my dad hasn't retired yet. I talk to him all the time. I'm like, Dad, why are you working? What are we doing this for? I don't get it. You got the house you want. You got houses in multiple states. You got more money than you can probably spend based on how much you currently spend. By all definitions, you're financially independent. Mom's well taken care of and she's happy living her life. She's definitely not working. You know what he always says to me? He says, Alicia, well, what else would I do? I don't want to spend the rest of my days traveling around the world. I mean, yes, there are places that I want to see and I want to travel, but I don't want to spend every day of my life doing that. If I stop working, I'm just gonna sit at home and watch TV. I like my job. I know you think it's crazy. It's like, I like my job. I like the fact that I get to train other people. I get the fact that I get to work on exciting projects. He was like, I like it. He's like, I don't want to do it all the time. He has a 3-day weekend each week. And he's like, I get tons of vacation time. So anytime I want to travel, it's very easy for me to get off work. I can work from home most of the days. It's not that hard. I like it. And I think it's going back to this thing about he finds purpose in his work. It's just one of those things. I think when I talk to my dad and when I talk to my friend, it's like, all right, life is too short to spend it in a job that you don't like. For me, one of my personal tenets is I want to make sure that the work that I'm doing fulfills me.
Mhm.
And it's really taking a step back to ask myself that question. Do I feel fulfilled by the work that I'm doing?
Mhm.
And if I don't, is there some aspect of my job that I can change?
Right.
If I can't, is there a way that I can cut back at my job and start doing more of the thing that does fulfill me? But just really taking inventory of, do I feel like I'm operating in my purpose? And if I'm not, how can I get to the point where I am?
As you said, your career doesn't have to be your purpose. Those are not words that are interchangeable, synonymous. And so if you cannot find purpose in your career, either switch jobs or just accept that this is not my purpose. I am here to earn a paycheck, and then I'm going to do this alternative thing that is my purpose, and ensuring that you have time to do both. I listened to this guy, Miles Monroe, it's a pastor, and he talks about our purpose and how God created us all uniquely with different skills, with different gifts, and called us to do different things to fulfill a purpose. It is up to us to try to define what is that purpose? What is it that helps us, that allows us to use the gifts and the skills that we've developed to fulfill that purpose. I was on service recently and there's this 90-year-old woman. She's like, yeah, get around. And I don't know, my maker still wants me to be here because maybe I'm going to cause too much trouble up there. And I was like, well, it's likely because you still have some purpose left on this earth. There's something else for you to do. When we think about how long we're going to be here, like no one knows. I had another patient who's like in his 30s, super sick. And he's like, Doc, am I going to die? I hate answering that question because I'm like, we're all going to die. I'm going to die. You're going to. But I say that to say, like, when we die is not necessarily when we're 90 or when we're 30. Like when we die, ideally, is when our purpose is fulfilled. And so it's really important that we look to find that purpose, to have that fulfillment in our lives, and that we're carrying that out for the greater good. So, to your friend's point, I think there's a little bit of guilt, but also I think that this just resonates the importance of us sitting with ourselves, being very reflective and understanding, okay, what is the purpose? And I think sometimes also we may not know. So it's like, what is my purpose today? And our purpose might change as we develop more skills, as we identify, oh, I actually do have a gift for this. And maybe I undervalued or didn't nurture it, and allow us to grow in our purpose.
And speaking of growing in our purpose, that is the second part of mental wealth. Purpose is the first part, making sure that you're operating in your purpose and that you know what that is. But the second part of mental wealth is growth. That is defined as chasing your limitless potential. It's like this active pursuit of new interests and new curiosities, regardless of their utility. Talks about how, like, oftentimes, especially as young, ambitious people, we're constantly trying to gain new skills because we're trying to monetize them. It's like, oh, I want to gain this skill because I know it's going to help me with this or help me with that. And part of this growth is just being curious, letting yourself be curious, even if you don't have a use for whatever it is that you are learning. And talk about this story of this elderly woman who's like 87, I think, something along those lines, who was taking a painting class. She's taking this painting class. She's not planning to create this painting that she eventually sells. She's just taking the painting class for the joy of painting. He talks about this elderly guy on his birthday. One of the things he really wanted to do was just observe a class at Harvard. He was really curious about what the young people are learning, all the new advancements in this field that he was once a master in. And so he just asked if he could observe a class. And it wasn't, hey, I want to observe this class. I want to gain this new skill for free, and then I'm going to use this to monetize this and do this. It was just like, I just want to continuously grow and chase my curiosity, and how that growth mindset is so important, not only to help you feel more fulfilled, right? Because you feel like you're chasing your limitless potential. It's like, oh, I'm constantly growing and getting better. But it's also really important for development, even for people who are younger. There was these surveys and these studies that were done on children. And they actually had two groups of children where they had them complete a puzzle or something like that. And for the first group of children, they praised them for their intelligence in completing the puzzle. Oh my gosh, you're so smart. So proud of you for completing this puzzle. Like, wow. And then the other group of children, they were not praised for their intelligence. They were praised for their just attempt and their effort. I'm so proud that you tried your best, sort of thing. And what they found was that the children that were praised for their intelligence avoided challenging new tasks, and even sometimes lied about their performance on the task because they wanted to still be praised for their intelligence. So they didn't want to do anything that would challenge. Versus the kids that were praised for their effort, they actually sought out challenging new tasks and new learning opportunities. And it was this whole thing about, like, how do you want to develop your children? And also for parents, like, how do you want to parent your children? And parenting for effort and making sure that people are trying their best, because it's you feeling like you're putting in the effort, that you're trying your best, that you're constantly growing, constantly getting better, that really aids in your mental wealth and really helps you feel more fulfilled. And as you become an adult, adopting that growth mindset of realizing everything can be changed, of putting more effort in and really having that belief that the more effort I put into something, the better I will be at something. Where I start is not where I finish. As long as I continue to grow and be optimistic, I'll be successful in life. I'll be happier. I'll find a way to thrive even through challenging circumstances. And so it's really about this importance of a growth mindset and being willing to continuously learn new things.
Yeah, I appreciate that we're having this conversation. Too often, especially as adults, I think we should ourselves too much. Oh, I should do this. I should know this. Oh, and we also feel that everything needs to be like the actions that we take needs to meet an outcome instead of just taking the action. Like you said, this lady, she just wanted to take an art class. She took the art class just for the purpose of taking the art class. That was the objective. Done. It wasn't that Oh, I'm taking this art class because I want to be able to paint this beautiful landscape. Oh, you're just taking the art class and giving ourselves the latitude to do that because, especially as high income earners, especially as professionals, every step has to be towards a goal. But sometimes the goal should just be taking the step. Adopting the growth mindset for me as a parent has been something that I am continuously working with our children on and ensuring that I'm not using those terms to say smart. Like I had to tell my mom, okay, don't call my daughter smart. And when I had a conversation with her piano teacher, I said, I don't like to use this term. Don't get me wrong, she is very smart, but I don't want her to think that she's smart. I don't want her to think, oh, this is something that I should be able to do. And if she can't do it, then she gives up, as you highlight in the study. And so I try to do with my kids. Brooke, one day, she's like, oh, this is too hard. She's playing this piece on the piano. Oh, this is too hard. I'm like, well, Brooke, if it was not challenging to you, then it wouldn't force you to grow. And if we think about anything that we've accomplished, it was always hard when we first started it. Medical school, walking, et cetera. And so I always talk about like when you first took your first step, you didn't say, oh, I fell down. I should never walk again. You got back up and you kept walking and then you started running and then now you're jumping and now I'm asking you to please sit down because you're doing more things. So going back to the piano piece, she's like, okay, Brooke, you're so close. So she changed what she said to herself. Instead of saying, I can't do it, she's like, okay, I made a mistake. Oh, Brooke, you're so close. You got this. You're so close. And I praised that. I said, Brooke, listen to what you're telling yourself. You're so close. That means that you're moving forward, that you're almost there, and that if you keep trying, you're going to get it. Just really giving our children the language that they need in order to motivate themselves and to speak that positive reinforcement to themselves that even though they haven't achieved whatever the objective is, playing that piece or painting the landscape, just the fact that they are doing it is success enough. And so if you keep doing the thing, then you're going to achieve what the initial goal is. So I think that this is really important for all of us to do. And I like the fact that the book reinforces just pursuing something because you're curious about it and just making that the objective.
And this is really important in all aspects of our lives, even, when I'm talking to people about points and utilizing points, because oftentimes you're laughing. Oftentimes it can feel overwhelming when you're trying something new. When you first learn about something, there's this false sense of confidence like, oh, okay, cool. I earned the points. I redeemed the points. Cool, cool, cool. You learn a little bit more, and all of a sudden your confidence drops because you realize there's so much that you don't know. Right. And then it can feel overwhelming. It's again this growth mindset of saying, okay, I don't know everything right now, but I will continue to progress and move forward. And having that grit to say, all right, I'm going to learn a little bit each day. I'm going to get better and better and better at it. I'm going to constantly grow each day in this thing and build up this confidence over time. Yeah, I have these discussions with people that are like, how can I build grit in my kids? How can I make them continue to fight through challenges? And a part of that is making sure that they still have challenges to fight through,
Hmm.
right? And not always saving them from struggle, but letting them kind of sit in it and figure it out. It's so funny. I mentioned that I was with my family this weekend at the pool, right? I obviously don't live with my parents, but my dad's water park or whatever, like the HOA community thing, it is really nice. Like it really looks like you're at a water park. Like it is a lot. They've got like pickleball courts and like basketball
Mm.
courts, and like the playground has like 5 sets on it. And even the pool areas, there's like a deep pool for the adults, and there's like a kind of shallow pool. And then there's like a kiddie pool, and it's got slides and slides for big kids and little kids and all of this stuff, right? So as you drive down towards my dad's house, you're like, what is that? Like it's hard to miss, right? And so what started to happen, and I promise you I have a point to this story, but what started to happen was that everybody would come to this area, even the people who didn't live in my dad's neighborhood. And when they would question, like, oh, do you live here? People were like, oh, I'm like so and so's guest. Right. And so there were all these people that was crowding the space who like didn't live in the neighborhood and weren't contributing to the HOA fees. And so what started to happen was they started to sort of like, how can we reel this in and put some restrictions in place? And so what they started, each household can only have 4 guests or something
Mhm.
like that, at a time, right? Everybody can't have pool party at the pool park. You know what I'm saying? My brothers and I, we were scheming. We were like, okay, we're going to go to dad's place because he's got this like amazing pool for my niece and nephews. But I think there's only 4 guests. And, my brothers are each married, right? So that's 4 adults right there. And then there's me. And then we got my niece and nephews. Like, how are we going to get into dad's water park? Because they're starting to crack down on all the guests, right? And so I told my brother tells me about this and this dilemma. I was like, oh, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. He's like, how are we going to be fine? I was like, okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to say that I'm in my dad's household. Cause I mean, I do have a room in his house. And, it's like, okay, I'll just be dad's, daughter. I look kind of young anyway. And we'll have the adults like you and your spouses, like my brothers and their spouse can come through and be the guests. And like, they're not going to count kids. My niece and nephews are like 2 years old. we're just not going to count the kids. And if they say the kids count, we'll be like, we didn't know. Sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And you know what my brother says? He starts laughing and he goes, leave it to you. You just figure stuff out. You're like the figure it out queen. Like anytime we have a problem, I'm like, this is how we're going to scheme to get this done. Like even when I was a little girl and my parents would say no to something, I'm like, okay, how can I not disobey them but still get what I want? That's my point here is like building that grit to that your kids start figuring stuff out. And I mentioned this before on a podcast. Like, I think I started to develop this skill. My dad gave me an allowance, right? Because it was then like, okay, how can I figure this out? How can I get this money to go further than I think it should go? And building in that quality in your kids and even in yourself, growing it in yourself and not saying, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm never going to be good at this. Or, oh, I've got this problem and I don't know how I'm going to face. I'm going to just give up. But being somebody who starts to figure things out, being someone who says, I don't know it right now, but I will know it later. I will continue to progress and I'll continue to move forward. And how people who have that skill of figuring things out, they always find a way to thrive despite
Mhm.
challenges. I'm not saying that I've been successful at everything that I've done, definitely not. But I do feel like I have this quality of like very few things stop me. It's more
Yeah.
like, okay, I got a little detour. I got to go this way. I got to figure something out. Okay, got a little obstacle. Got to figure out how to hop over it. But I'm not going to stop. And I
Mhm.
think that that kind of starts from when you were young and builds over time.
It's really interesting that you say this because I too feel like now it's a puzzle, it's a game. It's like I have this obstacle, but there is a way around this. I've always been someone who's been creative. So I can recall as a teenager, I applied to all these places, couldn't find a job. So I created a job and I created this curriculum to teach kids about how to do cheerleading, right? And so then we had a performance, et cetera. And I had to go and pitch myself to various elementary schools for this after school program. And so I've always been someone who had enough confidence that, okay, I could do this thing. But then there are other times in which there have been external limitations placed on me with good intentions, I think, but they've just been placed. So, for example, like my mother, she had not traveled abroad, or she had, but maybe not to where I was going. And so she had like a lot of fear when I was in college. I wanted to go to Ghana, and I wanted to go to the Dominican Republic. She's like, I don't know, is it safe there? And I'm like, I appreciate that you are concerned about my safety. And still, I'm an adult and I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to go. And those have been extremely formative experiences for me that have completely altered who I am and just the trajectory of my life. And so I say this to say that sometimes we may feel that we can't do the thing or we can't figure out the thing because there might be external limitations. There might be societal pressures that say, oh, a woman has never done this before, or a person like you have never done this before, or here are all the roadblocks that you will encounter. And so, this last person, they tried it and they didn't make it, but still really believing in your ability and not, again, focusing on the objective, but focusing on the pursuit. And if you can say, okay, yeah, maybe they did run into this roadblock, but that doesn't mean that I can't achieve it. It means that I can learn from it. So tell me a little bit more about that roadblock that they ran into. What did they
Yeah.
do, and why was that a stumbling block for them? And just really having this self-determination that this thing too is figure outable. And one of the things that I also have learned to embrace is that whatever I am doing, maybe this is not the goal. Maybe this is not the objective. Maybe it's that I need to learn a lesson to take me to the next level. And so this is just a stepping block. This is not the destination. And embracing that has really helped me to pursue various things that have not come to fruition. Like I spent a lot of time looking up short-term rental properties, learning about short-term rental properties. And are we buying a short-term rental property this year? No, we are not. And that was something that I listed on my goals list for 2025 is for us to buy 2 short-term rental properties. But that process of learning, of understanding is helping me to do the next thing that we're doing. And now I have a better understanding of short-term rental properties, some of the objectives, the goals, the ways that they will help us, the tax advantages, and then also some of the drawbacks of owning these short-term rental properties. For me, I've just really adapted this mindset to say, okay, maybe the goal that I am pursuing may not be achieved right now, but there's still something that I'm supposed to learn. There's purpose in the pursuit. And how can I use those teachings to get me to the next step?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's such a valuable life skill, and I think it will help us in a lot of different aspects of our lives. And I think this last part of mental wealth, besides operating in your purpose and constantly growing, chasing your limitless potential, being willing to figure stuff out, is actually space, which sounds weird. It's like, what? Space? They call it finding your garden. And it talks about how the most successful people carve out time in their day to think, to reset, to wrestle with large, big questions, to manage stress, and to recharge. Doing that oftentimes helps them approach problems in new and interesting ways, connect spiritually with a higher power, formulate insights that can change the course of their lives. And how it's so important, again, as ambitious people that are oftentimes in high earning and high stress jobs, we can be so busy. And how
Mhm.
taking time to have space, to find your garden, to find your element of peace, to be able to think about the big questions of life is so important, and how you have to really build that in, and how a lot of successful people, that was one of their keys to success, right? Carving out space to read a book. And, if you come across something that's profound, taking a second and really thinking about it, practicing mindfulness. Maybe it's going to church, maybe it's going for a walk where you're not listening to music, but you're just kind of letting yourself think and really carving out this space, and how building a life where you have space on a regular basis is a key part of mental wealth, is a key part of helping you feel fulfilled, and is also a key part of making sure that you can continue to grow and learn and progress. And so it's not just I'm operating in my purpose. It's not just I'm constantly growing and chasing my curiosities, but it's also like I have space in my life where I can sit down, pause, and really think about things and reevaluate my priorities and think about how I'm going to solve this issue or solve that problem, and how that is so important to our overall mental wealth and success in life, essentially.
Finding your garden really resonates with me. You know that I've spent a lot of my fun money on gardening tools and dirt and plants. And that has been my haven. I tell the kids, okay, I'm going up to the garden to do my devotional. And I just sit there with all the plants. I see the bees and I might read my devotion. And sometimes I just sit there. I think what you're highlighting is just the luxury of having opportunity to be silent. It's a commodity that we don't value enough. I was having a conversation with my husband. He's like, what are you thinking about? I was like, nothing. I am literally thinking about nothing right now. And that is so helpful because my brain is always processing, okay, this person has this. Oh, I need to do this. The to-do list is long. And I start to feel overwhelmed. And I start to feel, okay, well, I actually desire to do none of this. So I'm just going to sit here, sit in silence. But in the silence is clarity. And honestly, I think I need to be a little bit more intentional about building in those space, building in those moments where I can just sit and find clarity, sit and meditate and deem that as productive, especially as reflecting to mental wealth. Those who have mental health conditions, anxiety, depressions, schizophrenia, things of that nature, oftentimes there's so many intrusive thoughts that prevent them from having silence, prevent them from having space. So when we do have the opportunity to create it, we definitely need to take advantage of it. And this is something that I found to be very formative this year for me and something that I hope to continue on.
For me, it's really interesting. I usually don't have a lot of sleep issues. Like, it's very easy for me to fall asleep and stay asleep for the most part, except for the times when I haven't given myself enough space.
Mm.
Because my worry, any anxiety that I have about something, it will manifest in my sleep. And then I won't be able to sleep. I won't be able to stop thinking about these things. I'll be fine during the day. I'll be very productive. But if I need to grapple with a question, if there's an issue that I haven't quite figured it out, I'll start thinking about it at night, like in the middle of the night, and it'll be hard for me to have good sleep. It's like I'll fall asleep naturally, but then I might wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just be thinking about these things. And so for me, it's like, okay, I haven't given myself enough space today. Or I've got this new problem where maybe today I need a little bit more space than I did yesterday. Maybe I need to spend a little bit more time in my garden. I oftentimes will listen to music or podcasts when I'm driving, but there's certain times where I'm really grappling. I've got this issue that I need to figure out. And so what I'll do is sometimes I'll drive to and from work and I won't listen to anything and I'll just let myself think. And I find that those are the best times for me, because then my mind goes, okay, well, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could do this, or what if I do this? I start thinking about solutions to problems, and it really does help me. Or if I'm going for a walk, instead of listening to music, I'll just say, I'm just gonna let myself think. I used to drive to Florida quite often because I'm from Florida and it's like 5-ish hours away from where I live now in Georgia. There will be a lot of times during that drive where, like, maybe an hour or two, I'm not listening to music, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about my life. I'm thinking about what are the things that I want to change? Is there something I want to do differently? What are my goals? What is something I want to accomplish? Do I have time for this thing or that thing? Is there a problem I'm trying to figure out? And it's been so helpful for me. And so for you, I hear you saying, hey, Alicia, my garden is literally my garden, which I think is great. For me, my garden has been different places. It's that devotional time that I have in the morning. And if I skip that, I know my sleep may not be that good. So usually carve out 30 minutes where I'll let myself read my devotional, pray. Maybe I'll read 15 minutes in a book and I'll just let myself think for a little bit. And that really does kind of help set the tone for my day. And so I agree with you. I think this is really important. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm more diligent about building space and finding my garden each day.
Yeah, I love that you highlight that it doesn't have to be a physical garden. It's just a space that you are creating where you can go and you can escape and you can give yourself permission and time to just literally be who you are in the fullness of who you are and, let the world go, let all the problems go, let all the tasks go and be present. Oftentimes, I'm someone who's a planner. I have a million things on my to-do list and I lose the presence sometimes because I'm chasing the future. Other ways I'm reflecting on the past. Oh, I didn't do that so well. How could I have done that differently? You just giving myself, okay, you made a mistake. How do you move forward from this? Let it go. And I'll not allow the past to rob me of my current state and not allow the future to rob me of my current moment either. So I just have to be a little bit more mindful of that. And I think that's what you're saying here is like just exist in the beauty and not have all of these other inputs. It's hard, but I'm grateful for the reminder. I'm going to use that. What are you doing? Nothing. I am doing absolutely nothing. And that is okay. And I am very happy doing absolutely nothing right now.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. Well, we've been getting deep lately. I think we got to add a little bit of fun to this stuff sometimes. All right. Speaking of fun, what is something fun, Brittany, that you are doing with money?
I'm going to Chicago. And I just came back from Chicago because I went to the National Medical Association conference and Chicago's great. I always love going back to Chicago because it's where I met my husband. It's where I went to medical school. I've spent many, many, many days in Chicago. And this year, there are a lot of conferences in Chicago. I'm going to the Women in Medicine Summit that's in Chicago every year. And I'm also speaking at the Latino Medical Student Association. So I'm wearing a double hat. I'm speaking, and then I'm also recruiting for a residency program. I'm traveling to Chicago. I need to book some flights, book hotels. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to book a hotel. I'm not going to have a place to stay. I can go to Chicago and I will find a place to stay because I have so many friends in Chicago. That would not be an issue. But yeah, I'm traveling to Chicago. So I have to think about, okay, what are all the things that I love about Chicago that I need to do during these trips because I'm not taking my children or my husband. So I'm really excited.
Look at you. And, summertime shy is like a thing, right? It's a
It's
whole
so
vibe.
nice. It is
It's a
so nice.
whole vibe because let me tell you, wintertime shy is not it. Because I have been there in the winter and it has been challenging to enjoy myself. So you live in Massachusetts, right? So cold to you is probably very different. So maybe it's fine. I run into people all the time. They're like, oh, I love fall. And I'm like, I do too, but I have a suspicion that the temperature for your fall is very different from the temperature for my fall. But I think around this time in Chicago, it should still be really nice. Not too humid, right? Mid 70s ish. I'm wishing good weather on you, is what
Thank
I'm
you,
saying.
thank you, thank you. Yeah. Chicago cold is Chicago cold. It is frigid. I remember when I was there in medical school, girl, I wore from head to toe. I wore a face mask. All you could see was my eyes. And that was it. Literally, I was covered. Thank God I had on a long coat and the girly boots because somebody probably thought I was going to rob them. It is frigid in Chicago, but the fall and the summertime is really nice. And I love that the lake is right there. I love to go on runs near the lake. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Well, that's great. Speaking of Chicago, one of the fun things that I'm doing with money, or that I just did with money, is I bought some Chicago style popcorn. And you're like,
Mm.
what? So back when I was a kid, when we would fundraise, we would sell like these coupon books, which are no longer in style anymore. When I was a Girl Scout, we'd sell Girl Scout cookies and that sort of thing. But nowadays, I feel like all the kids are into popcorn. I've gotten so many requests for like, help support my kid, buy some popcorn. And I'm like, okay, it's my friend's kids. I'm like, let me see how I could support. And then it's like $15 a bag. I said, y'all got to be making a good, profit margin off this. But you know what? Let me support your kids, I don't know, baseball team or whatever it is. And so I bought some popcorn and I love Chicago style popcorn. It's with the cheese and the caramel, which sounds like if you've not had it, you're like, what? But I actually think it tastes really good. Whenever I am in Chicago, I love going to like the popcorn places and getting little flavored popcorns and stuff like that. But that's something fun that I'm doing with money is supporting my friends' kids and their fundraisers by buying Chicago style popcorn. So I've got like 4 bags of cheesy caramel Chicago style popcorn.
Yeah, the popcorn is a thing. It's interesting because growing up in Michigan, I have family in Chicago. People would put their orders in, oh, you're going to Chicago? Oh, bring me back some Garrett's. Like it was not ubiquitous like it is now. Like we couldn't order it offline and have it delivered. You had to put your order in. And now there are so many various popcorn companies, to your point, where they're making the Chicago style popcorn. And so it's something that you enjoy, but it's no longer a luxury. And so it is expensive because things are just expensive now. You enjoy eating the popcorn, but it's not like, oh, I have to get this specific type of brand of popcorn, at least for us, because now various companies are doing popcorn so well. It's like, oh, okay, this is the new, you know? So you'll have to let me know if you find another flavor besides the cheddar and the caramel, because now they have all these different types of flavors. We love our popcorn here in this household as well.
No, that's great. It's actually funny that you ask about different flavors. For Christmas last year, yeah, Christmas last year, I bought an assortment of different popcorn. And I'll have to get you the link, but it was like all these different flavors, like cookies and cream popcorn and like M&M popcorn and like cinnamon sugar popcorn and like Snicker popcorn and like all of these things. And they had all the different flavors. And I bought this assortment to like give to my aunts and uncles as like a stocking stuffer gift. And they all really loved it. And so I'll have to get you the different flavors. And speaking of popcorn, yeah, it's been like one of my go-tos. Sometimes if I'm getting treats for people at work, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna get some different assortments of popcorn.
Mhm.
I like popcorn. I was just like, okay, this is a little bit more than I expected to pay for this bag, but I hope the baseball team raises all the money they need and the cheerleading team too. So that's how I spent my fun money. For those who are listening, hopefully you found aspects of this episode helpful or at least thought provoking. And as we mentioned before, if you missed it, we will be having our masterclass, give you some tips and tricks and things to keep in mind as you prepare to negotiate your next contract. That masterclass is completely free. It will take place Tuesday, October 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the link in the show notes to sign up. We can't wait to see you there and to come back to you again next week.
Hello, and thank you for listening to our podcast. And because of that, we have something for you, our Wealthy Minds Blueprint.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I could be better with money? Do you want to start investing and saving for retirement, but keep delaying because you don't know where to start? Our Wealthy Minds Blueprint is here to help.
This guide will teach you what you didn't learn in your training so you can stop being confused about money and start taking what we call wealthy-minded action.
We'll help you become a master of your finances and simplify investing so you can get started today. Take control of your financial future by downloading your free copy of the Wealthy Minds Blueprint now and start building the wealth you deserve.
One of the most important things you can do is ensure you have long-term disability insurance. Long-term disability insurance secures your income if the unexpected happens and you are unable to work due to medical illness, chronic conditions, or an accident.
Unfortunately, all insurance agents aren't created equal. Some of them are so focused on making a sale that they fail to reveal certain necessary information, tell you about discounts available, or clearly explain the process. Prati Botto and his team at PKA Insurance Group are different. They have a reputation of putting people over profits and always doing what's best.
If you need life insurance or disability insurance, reach out to Pradeep and his team today. They will help you get the insurance you need with the service you deserve.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittany Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisa Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, you know. So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.